Welcome to Professor Sky's Spam Channel, where I talk about anything that's not new music. One thing I really enjoy talking about is the TV show I Think You Should Leave. And in particular, it's a wacky show, and it's filled with all these sort of jokes, and you can repeat them and have all these lines over and over again. But what I've been trying to do on this channel is go a little bit deeper and bring out what could be some subtext. Now, I go pretty far. The previous one I did on this, I talked about how Shirt Brothers was about January 6th. And this one you might perceive of as being in a similar angle. It's about the mysterious Metal Motto Search sketch. One of my early favorites from the season, but much like all of my favorite I Think You Should Leave sketches, there's something about it that I sort of get and sort of don't get. And that's that subtext. Metal Motto Search is about Elon Musk. But not him in particular, the kind of person that Elon Musk is. Anybody in that sort of weirdly worshipped CEO ruling class, all the billionaire bozos, And the most important thing about them isn't their wealth or their power, but it's how eventually a sort of delusional megalomania overcomes them. And that's what this sketch is about. How do delusional megalomaniac billionaires abuse their power and money in order to embark on these crazy ideas that make sense to them and seem ambitious, but fundamentally only serve as a way to reflect their own glory, to reflect their greatness. But it's the bizarreness of the concept that is the, I would say, political content of this sketch itself. The idea is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm gonna go line by line. I'm just gonna do the entire sketch for you. I'll cut out a couple of them, and what I'll do is I'll sort of talk about each line allegorically and comically. Okay, so it starts right off, and we see the character of Danny Green. Now Danny Green is wearing kind of a shiny blue suit, a weird-looking bow tie, and a white shirt, and he comes out. And what I want you to imagine is that Danny Green is, let's say, Elon Musk, okay? Let's say that the character of Metaloid Maniac is a worker for Elon Musk. Let's say he works for Neuralink, okay, a company which will probably never do any of the things he says it will do. Yeah, we could say SpaceX as well, but I have a friend who works at SpaceX, so I'm not going to go after them right now. And the contestants, I would say, are just the American public, or the global public, just we the people who watch this whole drama happen. So Danny Green comes out, and we see the name of the game show, because it's all around a game show, and it's called Danny Green's Photo Wall of Metal Motto Search. The name is stupid, right? And this is a thing that I Think You Should Leave does. It plays with language. It uses bad language or poorly constructed language to comedic effect. Having metal next to it. Great photo, Danny Green's Photo Wall of Metal Motto Search, that weird repetition, but I think it's on purpose. I think it's on purpose because we don't know who Danny Green is, right? This is played by Sam Richardson. If you've never seen The Detroiters, you should check it out. It's on Paramount Plus, along with the Champions League, so what else are you doing? He's playing this character, and we don't know who he is, but we know that he's powerful. How do we know that he's powerful? Well, he's powerful because he has his own TV show. And it's not just that he's the host of a TV show, it's that it's his TV show. So whoever he is in this mystical universe, he is the person with all of the power. He is the vision, he is the hand that is directing everything. That's why I think of him like an Elon Musk figure, like Zuckerberg with Meta, or Katzenberg with Quibi. Okay? This kind of idea of somebody who has a vision, and his vision is the photo wall of metal motto search. And you can tell that he has surrounded himself by so many yes men, and he has removed anybody who can put up any kind of resistance to his vision or to exactly what he wants, that we are left with this absolutely ridiculous title. The belief is that his vision, which has proven successful in the past, however Danny Green got here, sorry, I have to turn off my... I don't edit, by the way. If you're new to my channel, I don't edit. So whatever happens around me happens for you too. The people around him don't say no. So he has a vision, and very clearly, this vision has worked for him in the past. But now, he's so enamored with his own genius, he's blind. And he's going to just take these totally unfeasible ideas and just try to push them through. okay? His belief is if he throws enough money at it, if he explains it enough using his brilliant charisma, and if he uses his workers well enough, he will eventually have his vision come through. That's Danny Green. Where did he come from? I don't know. But he is a perfect template of a delusional megalomaniac billionaire who's in love with his own voice. So then he goes on to describe the show. The game show where contestants battle it out trying to guess what image is hidden beneath the metal panels. Okay, so we're shown a giant wall of metal panels. I'll discuss how many soon. Each one of those metal panels has a small colored dot in the right-hand corner. There's a couple hundred panels with a couple hundred dots, and those dots are not that clear. Like the delineation between the colors is not that clear. But still, that's the idea. As soon as you pick a panel, the Metaloid Maniac will zip around the magnetic board he built. Now, this is one of the most weirdly emphasized things, that he built it. Before we even get there, I think it's important that we discuss like the basic idea of this game. Because the game doesn't make any sense. There's no game to it. There's no questions. There's no strategy. It is just a phrase that has been written out and covered up with metal. So it's a game show that isn't. But again, Danny Green has so much power in this universe, he's able to make it happen. He goes on to explain that the Metaloid Maniac will zip around the magnetic metal board that he built. I'll get back to why it's so important. And then we get introduced to the character of the Metaloid Maniac, who's the crucial character. He is an old man. He's an old man in a suit who's supposed to just whip around here. And I think he represents the workers. I think he represents the people who are driving around my neighborhood 24 hours a day in Amazon trucks. Okay, I think he's supposed to be the person at Quibi who's trying to figure out how to create the proper content. Okay, he's somebody who's supposed to be tasked with doing all of the work for some rich asshole who has an idea and tries to make people do it. He goes on to explain, and take down a metal panel revealing a piece of the photo of the phrase. This is, I think you should leave writing in all of its brilliance, a piece of the photo of the phrase. So the weird thing is, it's a motto search. What they're looking for is not even an image, which would be feasible. Feasibly, if you had like 10 little things of an image, you could be like, oh, that's a squirrel, or oh, that looks like a house. But it's a phrase that is hidden behind these words, so it's completely ridiculous. A piece of a photo of the phrase. So it's a photograph of the phrase as it's written out. But pick dots quickly, because the Metaloid Maniac is fast. Again, we get to this division between what the boss wants his worker to be and what the worker really is, between the ideals of a visionary who is delusional and the reality of his workforce. It cuts to an image of the Metaloid Maniac who is haggard and tired. The word fast appears right next to his head, purely ironic. And he will speed around the board, filling back the empty spots with metal. Then we have the introduction of this animated version of the Metaloid Maniac who zooms across. It's like an old, like a G.I. Joe, Transformer, He-Man style 80s cartoon, zooms across on the wall he built. Okay, let's play Metal Motto Search. First, let's learn a little bit more about what's happening in the Metaloid Maniac's world with this cartoon. This is the most memeable part of the whole episode, just because he says cartoon. And this cartoon, I'm not going to go through it too in detail, but I will say it's important because it shows it's not real, right? This is the perfect image of what Danny Green wants his workers to be, working with, in this case, metal panels, okay? This is what they want. Elon Musk wants to be able to walk up to a neuroscientist and say, make a telephone I can turn on with my thoughts, and then walks away. Says to the people at Tesla, make a driving car that is a self-driving car that is safe and can be adopted by the whole world, and then walks away. This is what is in his head. That's what this cartoon is. It represents the ideal that Danny Green has. And you can tell that he wrote the entire show because it ends with him emphasizing this whole thing here of him saying, this is actually my ground. Now, it's very funny. It's very funny. We had this little metal sounds going on here. We have Metal Maniac's sycophant, who's right next to him, slow down, you're moving too fast, it's going to crack the planet. I don't know who this weak character is supposed to be. I don't want to. I'm going to make a point and say I don't believe in it. I think that this character could represent like a vice president of the company, somebody who is afraid of the environmental or societal consequences of this beautiful metal wall, and he's going so fast, retrieving, so that in the cartoon, this character builds the metal wall that we see in the show, and then batterbirds, or these weird pterodactyls, come and take it away, and then he takes them back and builds the wall back. Slow down, you're going to crack the planet. So maybe that represents the EPA or somebody telling him no. Somebody telling Danny Green, someone telling Elon Musk, you can't do this. You can't actually treat your workers like that. You can't actually treat Twitter like that. And he's just able to keep doing what he's doing because this is a billionaire's power fantasy, right? In the billionaire's power fantasy, there's no need to worry about cracking the planet because he built the ground. You see? See how it all comes together? Cuts back to the real show. Karina, you're first up. Give me a color. Now, the participants here are a little bit confused, but not totally confused. They seem willing, they seem excited, they seem enchanted to be there, but at the same time, they don't really seem to know what's happening. This is, I very much feel, like the way that an American felt when they first saw a Meta commercial from Facebook, you know, where you saw it and you're sort of like, oh, I guess that could be cool, you know. Up until Folding Ideas makes a video about it, I'll try it out. I'll see. And then she picks the pink dot, and this is where just random, just pink dot. Now, what's interesting here is Danny Green says, "Pink dot, go get it, Metaloid Maniac." There he goes. Now, this is the reality of the project. He's supposed to be zipping around crazily, but he's completely slow. He is totally, the technology is not there. The dream of the cartoon is not there. And he's moving very slowly, and he's visibly pained. And while he's moving around in visible pain, Danny Green says he's zipping around crazily. And this is that part of the delusion of the megalomaniac billionaires, is they don't actually see it. Like, they see 2 + 2 and they say equals 5. They don't actually understand that no matter how hard they want, for example, Twitter to be working right now, Twitter is not working. Can you not imagine Elon Musk talking about Twitter and X and saying how it's zipping around crazily while in reality most of the workforce is being fired and their stock is in the tank? That's why I picked on Jeffrey Katzenberg as well. This isn't like a Republican-Democrat thing, okay? You don't have to be a Republican to be a delusional billionaire. And it cuts to the Maniac cam, and it's this really weird picture, super close-up of his face. And this is where we keep going, right? We keep going and going and going, where Danny Green keeps talking about his project. And this is that sort of TED Talk that he's giving about his vision. And we see the realities that it's not working, and then we see his vision. The reason the Metaloid Maniac is so comfortable up there is because he built that wall. Now, the reason he keeps insisting on he built this wall, I believe, is that this is the dream of the robber baron, of the billionaire delusional megalomaniac, that if they say it enough, we will believe that everything that's happening is because the worker built it for themselves, not that he forced them to build it for him. I think that's what it's about. I think that's why he keeps on talking about the wall that he built. It's this little tiny detail which fills in his whole fantasy, that he can be a good person and be a great inventor and a great creator of a game, if this ends up being true. And then eventually a metal meter comes up, which is this little chyron on the bottom of the screen. Fuel, it's like 3/4 full. Lust for metal, it's like 9/10 full. And then finally, hunger, 1/10 full. Speed 119 miles per hour. This goes right into the perfect idea of what a perfect worker is. A perfect worker is not hungry. A perfect worker is all fuel, no hunger, right? All lust for metal. In this case, metal representing the labor that is expected of him, which happens to be being metal, 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 metal. It could be anything else. He doesn't need food. Again, Danny Green keeps going on. He's naturally magnetized, which allows him to zip around the wall that he built. Perfectly frictionless. What do you think about that, Karina? Pretty cool. So he preloads her answer. And this is what happened with Meta. Isn't this cool? Yeah, I guess. He's unable to hear anything he doesn't want to hear. She says, pretty cool. Well, at the exact same time, we hear, blah! The Metaloid Maniac is falling. He goes on, yeah, I think so. So he isn't interested. There's a reality happening behind him where his whole game isn't working. Nothing that he envisioned is working. But he's so busy talking, like the blowhard that he is, that he's just going on about how brilliant his thinking is. It was the first thing I thought of when I thought of the Metaloid Maniac. He's still slipping. He's slipping to the point where the crowd gasps. Danny Green is totally unfazed. Karina barely seems to care. She seems visibly bored. What if there's like a guy who could zip around with metal and also shoot it and build stuff with it, Why is he stumbling around his words? I think this is going to the further point of this kind of person where they don't actually know what they're talking about. Elon Musk does not know anything about neuroscience. Nothing. Not a single thing. Nothing. Completely ignorant. Okay? So he has these ideas of what he's going to be able to do with the human brain, but he doesn't really know what it is. And he's just busy talking about all these scientists who are doing all this work in labs that they built that is fulfilling his kind of scientific idea that comes from no science. On screen, it says 1 of 144 tiles are gone. Now, that's actually underscoring it. I did the math. Okay, I did the math. And as far as I can tell, they are 11 by 19. The board actually has 209 squares. It only says 144 here. Either way, this game, if it were to go the full length, would take hours and hours to fill. Okay, here's the description of what is shown underneath the panel. That's the sound of my dishes being done. What can I do? Hey, Sky, you gonna do a video? Yeah, the dishwasher's running. I guess there'll be a dishwasher sound on the video. Underneath it is a white square with a black line coming up from the bottom. It could be like the elbow of an L, or it could be the top of an L. So this is the only piece of information we get. It is not workshopped or thought about at all. The enjoyment of the audience, the enjoyment of anybody doesn't matter at all. All that matters is that the Metaloid Maniac made this ground. Anyone want to guess? There's a sound of someone screaming, "Oh God!" as we hear the sound of screeching with the Metaloid Maniac falling. No guesses? Okay. Steven, you're up. Okay, brown dot. I count at least 10 dots that are brown dots, right? So if you're going to have something be colors, you can't just say brown when there's so many different shades of brown. Okay, Metaloid Maniac is going down. This is the point where the Metaloid Maniac, the worker, says no more, puts down his tools and runs up to the foreman and says, "I will not. I'm going to unionize." Okay, let me have a little chat with the Metaloid Maniac. Make sure I don't got no metal on me. He's speaking in this weird colloquial fashion. He gets faint laughter. Metaloid Maniac, not doing it. He doesn't say I'm not doing it. He just says not doing it. Is this an agrammatical moment in I think you should leave? Or is this potentially symbolic of the fact that he represents multiple people? That he's saying, I'm not doing it, but maybe also we're not doing it, meaning the workers. I don't know. I might be going too far that one. Maybe not. Danny Green doesn't even understand. Not doing what? Metaloid Maniac. Full strike. Hey, calm down. We now have a whole new dynamic. We now have the boss man and the worker man. And the boss man is trying to figure out any way he can to manipulate, either by force, by pressure, by fake compassion, to motivate his worker to do the task that he needs to do so he can have his own vision. So he says, calm down. He sees the situation's escalating. He realizes he's not going to be able to get his tool to work if it's angry. I keep sliding. The suit is way too heavy. The ignorance of everything that goes into making this. The idea was to make a suit, but there was no thought put into how heavy the suit was or if you could zip around. Right, okay, so the way that I pictured it, Danny Green continues, is that the wall is his ground. Crucially, it cuts away to Karina, who's sitting there kind of embarrassed, like she understands what's happening. So is there any way, Danny Green continues, you could make this look like this wall is your ground? No, says Metaloid Maniac. There's no way to do that, Dan. Oh, that Dan. The Dan. The Dan. That's my favorite line. That's my favorite word in this whole sketch. Even more than metal, 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 metal. Because this is where all of a sudden, like, the relationship between these two people becomes clear. This is the real break of this dream. That the Metaloid Maniac is directly referring to the creator of Metaloid Maniac as Dan. Full break of character. Cuts to Steven. He's even more uncomfortable. Danny Green is upset. Okay, let me explain it to you. That's your wall. And the revenge of the worker is to finally say, you can have whatever story you want. I can't get around at all. Finally, the truth of the vision, of the delusion, comes smack up against Danny Green's face. He's getting smacked in the face with the truth. So the manager, the ruling class, the boss man, the supervisor, the floor boss, the assistant manager, the regional manager, the CEO has to change tact. You see, the tool is broken. The tool is broken. He tried to get it to work, but it doesn't work. Fortunately, the tool is human. So if you treat a human tool like a human, you might get it to work. To which he asks, all right, what's really going on? Metal Maniac sighs. He seems to be approaching some kind of humanity here. And he tells, I had a very difficult conversation with my daughter this morning. This little bit here. I had a hard conversation with my daughter this morning. To give you a different quote from I Think You Should Leave, that's not the reason. That's not the reason that he can't fly around there like a bug. He can't zip around there. He isn't magnetized and flying around because the whole concept is broken. But still, he can see it's this other emotional reason. Because, of course, humans are not tools, they're humans. With an obnoxious smirk, Danny Green says, that's hard. That's hard. Repeating that over and over again, showing some kind of vulnerability, showing some kind of understanding, okay? Some kind of care. And this is the thing. Companies want you to be okay. Companies care deeply about your mental health. But they don't care about your mental health because they care about you. Worker fitness programs, worker mental health programs, worker substance abuse recovery programs, workers gambling abuse. It's all because if you're not a good tool, they can't use you as well. That's why the therapy might work. That's why we might have workshops. That's why they care. That's why they pay for all of these things, is because they know if they care about you and your daughter having a hard conversation and that they show that they care and that you can get your help, then you will go back to being the damn Metaloid Maniac. Metal, 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 metal. Working so hard that you might crack the planet. And we finally get the punchline of the entire sketch. After this brief moment of humanity, fake humanity, an imitation of humanity, he says, what can we do to make you look like you're going crazy up there like a bug? That's the final line. In the end, he doesn't care about the daughter. He doesn't care about the difficulty. All he wants to say is, what can we do to make it that we have computers inside of our brains? What can we do to make it that people want to watch Quibi? What do I have to do as the visionary to make you do the thing that can't be done? In the end, nothing will happen. There's no consequence. Another Chiron pops up. Metaloid fun fact, Metaloid Maniac can fly. Again, Danny Green will never face reality. There's only his perfect vision and these broken tools that will fail him to create this image, this dream. So there you go. There's my breakdown of Metal Maniac. Did you like it? Do you appreciate the dedication I had to dress up like Danny Green? If you haven't seen Animated GIF, does these videos of I Think You Should Leave sketches, turns them into like little electronica songs that are super good. And I also want to thank Michael Cooper, who's a Patreon and a fan of the channel, and a friend of mine, personal friend of mine. And he did some merch of me in the Kafka poster. It's sort of a thing that I model all my merch on. So if you want to check that out, Professor Sky on Patreon. I mean, not Patreon, on Spring. I'll put a link in the thing. I can't monetize this channel yet. Well, eventually I'll be able to. Look around. See if you can find it. Not doing it. All right. Till next time, there's the camera.